Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I'm so
you.
excited to have you here. You are one of my mama friends. We've definitely connected on co-parenting and all the wonders of parenting. Both our kids run track. Actually, we ran track together.
Yeah.
Do you remember me?
I do.
For real though?
I do. Okay, so we've had this conversation of my theory about Seattle kids. I know you from around.
Right.
Like I know a lot of people from around.
Right.
From track, from church, from around.
Right.
So,
Okay, so tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
a little bit about me. I'm a mom of two beautiful kids, ages 13.
Wow, you got a teenager.
Ages 13 and 9. I'm a Seattle girl, born and raised. I don't know. What else? I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl. Just a girl in the world.
That's all I got. I'm just a girl.
I love it.
You know? Yeah.
What do you do for work?
Human resources.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah.
Were you in marketing before, though?
No.
Okay, I made that up. All right.
Yeah, so I've been human resources, kind of like the full gamut, from generalist, most recently a recruiter.
Okay.
Yeah, all the things, all things HR.
Okay, recruiter. All right, people, listen up. It's hard to get jobs right now.
I know.
The market is trash. Anywho, I digress. Thank you for being here again. I love your story, Javonne, around like your resilience and you know, not carrying all the things as a mom and you know, doing your best to try to co-parent and all that. So what has been your co-parenting journey? Would you consider yourself a co-parent?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a loaded question. Would I consider truly? No.
Okay.
However, I'm a fan of perspective.
Okay.
And I could see from my former partner's perspective how they may consider themselves to be a co-parent.
What's the disconnect there?
So our situation is he lives in Louisiana. He lives out of state. And of course I live here with our kids. And I just, the disconnect. I think the disconnect is what he defines as a co-parent, what I define as a co-parent. The way it's set up, there's a lot of freedom to pop in and pop out. And
on his end?
Yes.
Okay.
And honestly, it's mostly out.
Okay,
So.
got it. So you're mostly doing this on your own.
Oh, yeah.
How does he participate, if at all?
Phone calls.
Okay.
Sporadically,
Okay.
you know, at this point, more recently within the past 6 months contributing financially, but for long periods of time, no, about 4 or 5 years, not at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the day in, the day out, the heavy lifting, the light lifting, the majority of the lifting.
All lifting.
Yeah, it's by me and, you know, my tribe, my community.
Okay. Speak on the tribe.
Family,
Okay.
friends, church members,
Okay.
track coaches.
Track coaches. Yeah.
You know, the community, but coaches of all types. They're involved in a number of activities, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do their part, but yeah, most of it is on. Most of it, the majority of it is on me.
So how did y'all meet and like how did things transpire?
Me and
now
they
you're
daddy.
yes, and now you're you know doing a lot of the parenting.
How did we meet, and then how did we get here? Well, I went to Xavier University of Louisiana.
Is that an HBCU?
It is
okay,
a HBCU.
That's
It's
great.
small. It's one of the less popular ones, but it's there.
Hey, it's there. It counts.
It's there. Jesuit school, great school, great education. Yeah, shout out Xavier University.
I just want to say I knew it was a HBCU. I just wanted to.
For the
I just want people to know that I know
people
that.
that didn't
Okay,
know,
but for the people who didn't know, you know, I knew that. Okay,
You're
go
doing your
ahead.
job, okay?
Thank you. I'm just trying to help the people.
Yes. So yeah, I graduated from Xavier University. I met him while I was in college. He was not in college, child. He was not in college at all. He was just there.
He was just there.
And, you know, he was around. He was from
one
the
of the
city.
locals.
One of the locals.
Yes.
One of the locals. Yeah. So I did that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? We were young. Let me see. I think we we got married the same year I graduated, actually.
Okay.
You know,
when was that?
Oh my God. 2013?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, okay. Like,
Because I'm trying to frame it towards my time frame. Because I had my son, I think, in 2014. So
got you.
Okay, got it.
You. Yeah. 2013. Yeah, because I had my son in 2015. So yes.
Okay, got
it. 2013, we got married. We had dated like a year and a half before that. We was in love and all those things, and it was fun and it was beautiful and exciting, and we were dumb and you know.
Not dumb.
We were.
But yeah, I
very,
feel it. Been
very
there.
looking back on it.
Damn.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. So, to make a long story short or longer, I guess whichever way you look at it, we were young. We were in love. We didn't know enough about ourselves, in my opinion, to really form like a long-term, a lifelong committed partnership.
Right.
But we tried.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes you just find out in the moment, I guess.
Hey, as time went on, things collapsed, you know, for a number of reasons. In the interim between start and finish, we moved back up to Seattle, and, you know, he decided to leave. Okay. And it was a very dramatic exit, a very sporadic exit, and I held the pieces. And, you know, I've been holding the pieces, you know, ever since, just trying to figure out all the things from if I wanted the relationship or not, if we were going to try to do the things or not, and what was going to happen with the kids, and et cetera, et cetera. You know, fast forward, it'll be 7 years this September. Okay. Since we've been in different states. And yeah, there's been a lot of figuring in many ways. We're still figuring, but for the most part, I'm figuring.
Yeah. So, How are the kids managing with all this transition?
Well, our son was 2.
Okay.
So when his dad left, so he's managing pretty well. At this point, he's starting to ask more questions and express more feelings, and I always try to create a space for that. Because he's 9 now. But our daughter, though, was much older. You know, like she was 7, and you know, very much remembered us being together, and you know, being a family, and you know, having a mom and a dad, et cetera, et cetera. So she took it really hard, and that's been quite a transition. Okay, it has.
It's still it's still hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
What do you think has been her challenge with some of this? Like, what do you think's driving some of the challenges with accepting this? Obviously, she's a child, so there's that. But from your, observation,
I think it's just. I think her challenges were similar to mine, abandonment, you know, and just not. We both have to develop tools over the years. I'm in a much different position than she is, right? You know, but some same, some different, but yeah, I think the big challenge is like, you were here, you're gone. What happened to my norm? Like,
right, exactly.
What happened to my family? What is we doing? I think that has been like the big thing. Was it me? Was it mommy? Like who did this? How do we fix it?
Whose fault is this?
Yeah, it's been a lot of it.
How do you guys work through those emotions and those questions?
So many tools. So church, therapy, parenting groups.
Okay,
all of
parenting groups.
Yeah,
I'm really
even our coaching. Although she wasn't in it, it helped me. Okay,
so shout out to my coaching. No, I was kidding. You did great. You said it, so I wouldn't bring it up. But yes,
happy to
you're
say
one
it.
of my favorite clients. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's how, using all the tools, and a lot of this is doing it, moving. Right. You know, like figuring it out as we're going. I'm still figuring it out.
Right.
To be transparent.
I have been so impressed with you and other guests we've had, like your ability to seek out, like have the humility and the resourcefulness to seek out resources. Yeah. You're like the queen of seeking out resources. You've even told me about parenting groups. I'm like, what was that? Okay, let me go find that. What's that been about? Have you always been like that?
No, I was going to ask, do you think it's kind of like our generation? You know?
Maybe. I think millennials, We just knew we didn't want the same results that we saw.
Precisely.
And we want to have different outcomes. And so I think our generation's been more open to
that's
resources. We want different outcomes. What is it going to take? I don't know if I'm excited about therapy or whatever it is, but like something's got to change. Yeah. So
exactly. I really think that's been it. You know, what do they say? We stand on the shoulders of people that came before us. Yeah. Giants, all them things. Yes.
Right.
Yes. I think it was just, you know, from their shoulders to mine, this is where we're at, where I'm more interested in getting the help than looking the part. You know,
like being, not looking. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
very much so. Like I'm much more interested in like, dang, how do we feel okay every day? How do we actually be okay every day? Than kind of like the traditional.
Right.
I got it together. You
right.
know, or whatever.
Don't let your crown tell queen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no. And I've gone through different phases of it. Like I said, I've gone through every emotion. I think that was a Nipsey Hussle quote I love. He said, I've gone through every emotion trying to get at what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
And
what does that mean?
I feel like that. Like, I don't know that my experience has been linear.
Right.
Like, step 1, step 2, step 3, and I got it.
Right.
You know, it's been like, I feel good. I feel really bad. Like,
right.
You know
and just feeling it all.
I feel a little better today. Well, dang, this happened, and I thought I had this figured out, but what is this?
It's a lot.
Okay, yeah, it has not been like a linear experience. I felt just, you know, the full range of emotions at different times, and I still feel them. We just developed tools,
right.
And I think that's why the tools have been so important. As you know, like I said, I continue to figure out: am I better than where I was last year? Hell yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Can I curse? Sorry.
Yes, you can curse.
Okay,
and
I'll try to keep
I just
it.
want to be you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. You did the work.
Thank you.
So you do the work. Like you have your resources.
Yeah.
You do the work.
Do the
You
work.
said you're feeling better. What are some of the differences between this year and last year for you?
Okay. I think I've learned it all starts with you. It all starts with you. Regardless of how easy, difficult, or anything in between someone else is, you cannot control other people.
You cannot. Ooh, as much as you might want to.
As much as you may try, I've done all the things, okay, you know, what's it called? Every type, whatever, I'm human, okay?
Right. Yeah,
You can only control yourself.
Right.
Start with your happiness, prioritizing that. And I think for a lot of us, or transparently, I'll just speak for me, learning what it actually means to take care of myself, learning what it actually means to prioritize my happiness, monumental.
What does that look like?
Game-changing. Sometimes it looks like if I'm taking a nap. Sometimes it looks like I see the pile of laundry and I'm not doing it.
I'm really good at that.
Hey,
I'm too good at that.
master checks.
Really good at not doing laundry. Okay, go ahead.
You know, or sometimes it's, you know what? Okay, most recently, it's my child or whomever done pissed me off, and they were dead wrong, and I'm not gonna react. I'm not gonna yell. I'm not gonna curse for the cursing mamas out there. Okay, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. Oh, they was wrong, and it needs to be corrected, and I'm gonna.
Right.
Because.
That's a lot of energy.
Oh, man. And we can't see to the bottom of the pot through boiling water. Is all my therapy coming out? Yes, it is.
I'm taking notes.
Oh, now we
That's
can't
good
see
one.
to the
That's a good
bottom of the
analogy.
pot through boiling water. And conversations with whether it be your ex-spouse or your children or your mama or whomever. They typically go better when you're not mad anymore.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I think the big difference has been in my approach, you know?
Right.
And that takes some reflection. That takes a lot of accountability. Takes a lot of humble pie. It's not the funnest thing all the time.
No. Yeah.
But it's been, and again, I'm still growing in it. Very much still growing in it. I have my days, just like anybody else I know, right? But I for sure have mine. But yeah, it's been important. It all comes back to me and my approach.
So, with your children's father, have expectations been shared and they're just not meeting the expectations? Like, what is that? What is that looking like?
There's been bouts of that where expectations have been shared and it hasn't been met, or and hasn't been met in a few ways. Either maybe they'd express like a lack of concern, or like, I don't have that right now to give, you know, and me being like, you know, okay, and dealing with that in my way.
Right.
Or, you know, needs have been shared, like, when I'm able to do that, I'll get back to you, sort of thing.
Right.
You know, and there's been times, especially more recently, where needs have been shared and they'd be like, okay, I could do this.
Oh.
You know?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
We were just talking, we had an interview not too long ago with a mother who, she taught me that concept of like, we can't expect an elephant to climb a tree. Like,
that part, I like that.
Like, I do believe in expressing the expectation, because me as a people pleaser, recovering people pleaser, or as someone who's witnessed her mom just do it all, I'm like, oh no, I'll handle it. I won't ask for help. But now I'm like, no, let me at least give them the opportunity to at least know what the expectation was. That's just fair, and that's just the right thing to do. So now I at least communicate it. But then when it's not met, it's not the same energy that. Yeah, and so like
adjusting
that balance,
the expectation for sure. No, I'm okay. So similar here, like with the people pleasing, or like maybe not wanting to be disappointed,
right?
And so you feel like, I'm gonna do it. I don't need you.
Right.
You know, all that, and we shoot at least for me, I shot myself in the foot. You know,
my
doing
foot
that.
has some damage, a few little holes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Doesn't set a good precedent if you're doing it all, and they're like, wait, why are you asking for help now?
Yeah, and I think that feeds back into like it coming down to me, and like me deciding it doesn't make me less of anything if I ask,
right?
And kind of adjusting my own bar, you know, for people, you know, dang, me and my best friend been joking for weeks, like, girl, the bar has been in hell. I don't know why.
The bar's in hell. So far, so low.
Golly.
It's burning.
But raising it, you know, and really raising it for myself. Not saying you need to do but like, no, I need this for me. And if you can't meet it, you know, I'm going to do what I can.
Right.
But it is fair to me to ask you for this.
And hopefully, in theory, the person would want to know that. I want to help, or I want to know. I want to be aware what the needs are.
You know, when I finally did ask for my need, he was like, I wish you'd have said something. The thing is, I had said something many a times before. It was just this time.
So maybe not this is,
Yeah, he was like, dang, I wish you would have said something sooner. And I was like... Well,
anyways, right.
We're here. We're here, you know, and I can be thankful for parts of it, and it doesn't negate the fact that it may not meet all the need.
Right.
It may not be doing everything. Two things can be true at once, is what I'm trying to say. Two things can be true at once. So I can say, hey, you know, thank you for calling them, you know, on this, or for having that conversation with them. I'd really like if we could set up calls every week.
Right.
That'd be great. I think that would be really, really helpful. Hey, they've been asking about this. They've been asking about that. Maybe they just like to hear, you know, just want to hear your voice, you know, sort of thing.
Kind of, you're kind of the facilitator in that.
Exactly.
Kind of facilitate their connection.
Exactly.
That's a lot.
Exactly. So, you know, thank you for doing this. This is still kind of there, so let me know how you feel about that. We set up a time, what's your schedule, whatever. That sort of thing. Two things can be true at once. Right. So honor the fact that they did something that was necessary, that you wanted them to do, and then you can still honor your need as well. Right. Like in the same breath.
Right,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
I love that. What about dating? How's that been?
Actually, It hasn't been horrible.
Okay,
It
I'll
really
take that.
hasn't. So
Because that bar is
no,
real far.
listen. That bar has been in hell too. But we're raising that one, and it similarly, it started with me. You know,
I like that.
There's something that kind of happens to your brain, I think, when what you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life doing with someone even like suddenly dismantles or falls apart. There's just some things that happen there. And so, you know, initially, yeah, I made a few stupid decisions just like everybody else, and quite a few, actually. And then I took some time where it was like me. Like, I don't want to talk to nobody.
Right.
I don't want to go on no date.
Right.
Leave me alone.
Right.
Leave me alone.
Right.
Like, I need some room. And I took that room for about 4 years.
Okay. Oh, good
like
for
four
you.
months. Yeah. And it wasn't like I set a time. It was just like, I'm not doing that until I feel better.
Okay.
You know, sort of
That's
thing.
really responsible of you for the other parties too.
It was, and yeah, we got there eventually.
Right.
Eventually we got to responsible.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, I knocked my head, you know, a few times, and, you know, got to like, yeah. So for me, it was about 4 years of like, no, thank you. Like, I'm so good.
Right.
Like, I don't want it, you know? And eventually came across somebody, and I was like, okay, we'll see. And then I started dating without expectation.
Okay.
Kind of like dating just to feel it out.
Right.
Without like a really strong end goal.
Oh, I like that.
It's what we would call the situationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Situationships.
And, you know, I'm sure just like any other relationship, there's pros and there's cons, but I benefited a lot from my situationships. I learned a lot.
How would you describe a situationship for those who might not know? Most of our audience probably knows, but
For me, it's the no end goal part.
okay.
Like,
So like
hey,
you're not climbing the relationship ladder as one of
I'm
my
not like,
friends
look, I'm
says.
trying to get married. You need to let me know if you're serious. It was
Right.
like,
None of that.
I like something about you.
Right.
I'm enjoying our company. We can do this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. And you keep on seeing.
And you keep on seeing.
And then you see.
Okay.
And yeah. So that's my definition of a
Situationship. Got it. Yeah, I think, you know, I've enjoyed our conversations on this topic for sure, because as moms, as people who've had long relationships and they didn't go the way we had planned, I feel like we have to be really intentional about who we bring into our space with our energy.
Yeah.
Because if I'm having someone disrespecting me or it's like not going well, that's going to impact my energy, whether I want it to or not. And that impacts the rest of what I'm doing.
It does.
So I'm very guarded on like who I bring into my space. Like, how have you been intentional about like your situationships?
I think it's the seeing part. Communication for sure, but hopefully I don't sound like a broken record, but a lot of communication with me.
Okay. Hey, if the message doesn't get across the audience, like at this point, now that is key.
It all comes back to you. That's how I feel today. That's how I felt over the past year plus. It starts with you,
Right.
and it all comes back to you.
Absolutely.
You know, so even if I feel silly or childlike, you know, like, dang, am I okay with this? Well, I do feel some type of way. Why is that? Like having to explore that,
Asking
you know?
yourself those questions
Exactly.
when you're feeling those feelings. for
Being
sure.
willing to be wrong.
Right.
Too, bringing someone, well, I felt like this about this. And they might be like, you is tripping. You know? And you might be.
Yeah.
You might
been
be.
there.
And sometimes you're really not. How do you know unless you approach it?
Right.
And so giving myself the ability, you know, to do that and really take time and think through it regardless of how I may look
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
You
those
know?
are the feelings you had in those moments.
Exactly.
And like, let's check them out.
And
yeah.
for me, that's kind of some of the beauty of not having like an end goal. My end goal is to be at peace.
Ooh.
It is, though. My end goal is
that.
to be at peace, and that's with somebody or without somebody. You know?
Yeah.
If you think about that, like how many times, I can think about so many times during my marriage where, yeah, I was in relationship and I got a husband and kids and all this stuff. I ain't got no peace. There's been times I was more lonely in my marriage than by myself.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think when we get there, when it's not about having a person, like having yourself and being able to share that with somebody is the goal, well, then I can question. I don't have to make you anything.
Right. At all.
You know?
Right.
I don't have to make me anything. I don't have to make me your checklist. I get to show up as me because I know this piece has to be made whether I'm with them or not.
Right.
So
that is beautiful. I love that.
It's been good. It's been rough though, but it's been good.
I know. It takes a lot of resiliency to have that mindset. But I've been seeing statistics about how, men who get married live longer, but women who get married don't live longer. Like what? Which I get it, because usually the woman, these gender roles, woman's doing a lot of the work. We're helping our man succeed and learn things and what have you, and our children, and then feeding folks and stuff. Obviously, everyone should be doing a part, but women are living longer if they're single, and especially if they're childless. Now we don't got that going for us. But I said to say, like, I just saw a little video where when someone's getting married and they throw the bouquet behind them.
Everybody was
now everyone's running away from it. Now all the girls are like, oh my, don't let that
no.
That's where we're at. That's where our generation and the younger generations are at. They're like, we have choice.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that this is not as cute as Disney makes it out to be. We don't even know what happens after the happily ever after, right?
But, and I think that can work in singleness and that can work in relationship.
Right.
I really do feel like we can make this be whatever we want it to be.
Me too.
And I think that's part of the beauty of you taking responsibility for yourself, doing the hard job of putting it on you.
Right.
Of you being responsible for your happiness. Yeah. Then you can share it with someone else. Right. And you cannot. if and when you feel like it. Right. Exactly. If and when you feel like it. Right. The amount of grace that you're able to carry too for other people when you look at your demons. Is monumental. And there's been times I've had to look back and realize in my marriage, it wasn't just him. There was times I wasn't the best partner. And a lot of times we jump into these things before we know ourselves, because that's what we're supposed to do. Right.
We're supposed to get right on in it.
Girl.
Yes. I do like that the standard feels like it's shifting, where people are not getting married till later, if at all. Yeah. I know a couple, we'll say a couple loosely, but they are choosing to just have a child together, but not be in a romantic relationship together. So I'm just hearing about all these different ways that people are taking their future into their own hands and not trying to fit into something that hasn't worked for a lot of people. Yeah. And so I commend that.
I like that too. Yeah. I think it's a little scary, but what's
sounds
not?
terrifying. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, woo! Like, I love being single, and I also, it is hard doing all the things, running my house. I got to keep it clean. I got to feed my child. I got to take him to sports. I got to take him to this. He's got speech therapy. He's got all these things. I'm trying to grow my business while working a full-time job. And I'm like, oh my God. And like,
and I'm trying to keep my waist snatched and my skin clear.
I'm trying to like maybe drink some water every now and then. And so it's been challenging. I think something we've talked about that I do want to talk about now as we're soon going to wrap up, but situationships and interim boyfriends. Yeah. So I had told you that I have like a play interim boyfriend. Just to that point of like, we're not climbing that relationship ladder, like you said, with the situationship. But we respect each other. Like, we're consistent. There's some level of exclusivity there. Yeah. But I get to still learn and grow and like communicating, because there's things I need to continue to work on. Right. But I also don't have the stress of like trying to make this something it doesn't need to be. Yeah. And the stress that new things can bring. Like when I'm dating, it just brings in different stress. Usually you're finding people with all these flaws, and they might cause more harm or whatever it is. But this, I don't have to do that. I know who this person is. Like, we trust each other. We're getting our needs met. And I also don't have to think about marriage right now. I can just focus on the things that I need to focus on. Yeah.
And I told you I love the term. Yeah. I think more of us are already doing this than we realize.
Right.
We just haven't like coined a term.
Right.
I think you've coined a term.
Interim. I love interim boyfriend. I know people are like,
Yeah, I
what?
think
Let
you've
me
done
hear
it.
that again. Interim. But obviously I've worked in the corporate space.
Yeah.
I've been on the board of a school. And so I'm like, interim. There's always an interim chief of staff or whatever. I don't know.
Now, my big thing is like honesty. If I'm transparent with this person about, and they are able to be transparent with me, even as things change. I mean, it's still a relationship, but I think it's a very valid type of relationship.
Right.
We don't have to 0 to 100 this.
Right.
There's like all the numbers in between.
That takes a lot of maturity to know the nuance and gray area and navigate that.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're going to do it anyway.
Right.
You're going to do it anyway. You do it with your friendships. You do it with any type of relationship. You do it at work. Like, I don't know that it's so different, here. And we'll see, because I'm learning, you're learning. We're all still, learning.
We will
but
keep learning.
Forever.
Some people choose not to learn. So I do want to give us our flowers. But yes.
No. Well, I'm choosing to keep learning because I just don't see it no other way. Right. I think an interim boyfriend to me, what landed with me is just that communication. You can still express feelings in an interim situation.
Right. You have to. Especially if you guys are intimate. Like, you need to be able to communicate.
You absolutely have to.
And have trust and honesty.
It's like a step above maybe what the world would define as a situationship. Maybe not what I would define as a situationship, but what the world may define as a situationship.
Like, or a little hookup or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're not necessarily here just to slide. Like, you know what I mean? Real quick.
Right. Like, who are you? And what are you about? And
exactly.
How are you going to honor me in these moments?
So we have a relationship, even if we're not in a relationship, and how we define what is and what's not. Yeah, that's part of the relationship. That's part of communicating.
And it's another example of designing things in the way that you want and need.
Yeah.
And honoring that it's not going to always look like these other things.
Making it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Please.
So what are some parting words that you want to share with co-parents around the world?
It all starts with you.
It all starts with you. Consistent
even when you
message.
feel like it's them. Baby,
and man, does it feel like it's them sometimes.
Oh, yeah. But baby, it's you, and it's always going to be you. And I'm not talking about like fault. They've made mistakes. You've made mistakes. They've probably made more than you. They've probably made more than you, and you got that. You got that. However, your happiness is your responsibility. And as far as the co-parenting thing, I had a therapist tell me once, the best way to raise dysfunctional kids is to raise them around dysfunctional people. You want to raise depressed kids, you raise them around depressed people. You want to raise some stressed out kids, you want to raise kids that can't advocate for themselves, make sure you don't.
Right.
You want to raise peaceful kids, baby, find your peace.
Right.
Find your peace.
That's on us.
And that trickle down, it does work. And I know, especially in like Black households, not to kick up a whole other thing because we're about to depart. But in Black households, Black women, we put the cape on and take it on the shoulder and you got it. Baby, I took mine off.
Yeah, take that.
Nope.
That cape
don't want
sucks.
it. Won't
it's
be.
so heavy. It smells a little stanky.
Exactly. It don't fit. It don't fit. I don't like it. It's choking me.
It's got sequins and shit. They're scratching my skin.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So I say it starts with you. Start with your piece. And there's nuance in everything.
Right.
I'm not saying it's super black and white. It's not. But at the bottom line, my commitment is to that.
Yeah.
And I pray to God I'm raising healthier kids and a better me. I feel better. How about that?
I love that.
And I'm going to start there. So
I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right.
Appreciate it.